from Captain America Brave New World being called Captain America New World Order. I'm your host, 3D Jake, and today we're looking at Captain America Brave New World, released in 2025. Captain America Brave New World is the fourth Captain America movie set in the MCU. This time around, it's directed by Julius Onor and is written by Rob Edwards, Malcolm Spellman, Dallin Wilson, Julian Minor, Peter Glantz, and the movie stars Anthony Mackie, Danny Ramirez, Tim Blake Nelson, Shira Hayes, Carl Lumbray, and Harrison Ford. The movie is essentially a sequel to the MCU whole, and a lot of people have said the movie is essentially an Incredible Hulk sequel. See, the movie's set years later after the Incredible Hulk, and General Ross is running for president of the United States and wins, and he wants basically to rebuild the Avengers with Anthony Mackie's Captain America, Sam Wilson, leading the team, and of course, there's a terrorist out there who played by Giancarlo Esposito, who essentially is like that they've been looking for and they've basically been searching for. And meanwhile, the president keeps having these, president keeps having these panic attacks essentially, and he's been taking these pills, and eventually he ends up turning into the Red Hulk, and of course, the leader is behind all of this. I really enjoyed this movie. I know a lot of people were upset. A lot of people were kind of like, is it going to be as good as the first three? Because the first three were really solid. I remember watching all three of these movies before I did this review because I went and saw the movie in theaters, and then I watched the three movies and the Falcon Winter Soldier. And I will say it's closer to Falcon the Winter Soldier in tone of story than it is. But I would say when I was watching this, though, I like it more than Falcon the Winter Soldier. I think this is more like G.I. Joe Retaliation. It's a fun movie. It's nothing. Even though I think G.I. Joe is a better movie, Retaliation, than this movie. I do like this movie, although the movie had gone through lots of reshoots and everything, and the movie essentially went through like this giant thing that happened where essentially like the budget was like 300 million, and now it's being reported at 185, but those are really for reshoots from what I'm hearing. It's not really the actual budget of the movie. It's actually just the reshoots. The really movie's around 365 to 400 million, so around 600 or 700. This movie will be profitable. Yeah, you know, I enjoyed the movie. The movie's not a bad movie. Like, if you're expecting a Captain America movie, it's not really that. It's more or less an Incredible Hulk sequel with Captain America in it. That's really what it is. I really enjoy, Harrison Ford as the, General Ross, even though I think William Hurt played it better. I think this did not hit me as impactfully as much, where I think if it would have been William Hurt, because he's been on a journey, and to see just a recasted actor, it just didn't give me no emotion. I think if this would have been William Hurt, I would have had felt more emotion because I'm like, I saw this character from 2008 as an asshole, and then this character come full circle to where he's a decent human being. I think I would have liked that much better. I think I would have felt more impactful. But I understand William Hurt passed away, and so there's nothing they could have done, And I think honestly they should have pivoted and probably made not like maybe he's Ross's brother and not his, like not Ross. 'Cause I feel like, like recasting an actor, I understand sometimes you have to do it, and they had more of a storyline for him to go and everything. But I just feel like, he should have made him his brother instead. But yeah, it's fine. I really did like this movie though. I thought what was great about this movie is that it's like it's not trying to be like some people are like, oh, Marvel's too woke and all this. I'm like, I don't think this movie is woke. I watched this movie. If anything, I would say people will probably say it's not as woke enough, because I watched this movie and I'm like, people were like, oh, Captain America's black now. What I mean, that's like the biggest thing. People were like, I was talking to some friends of mine, and they're like, why is he black now, huh? Why is it black Captain America? I'm like, it's from the comics now, and I was like, and this is like, they set this up at the end of Endgame to where I'm like, it makes sense. And when you watch the movie, it doesn't really, like, I know some people could watch this movie and suspect like, oh, that's the whole basis of this movie. Like really, it's like you could put Bucky in this movie and it would still play out the same. I mean, really, Bucky does have a cameo in the movie. Bucky could be anybody, could be Captain America in the movie. I mean, it doesn't really, whether it be Steve Rogers or it's like Sam Wilson or even Bucky Barnes. And I watched the movie and I'm like, there really didn't really nothing different about the character of the position of the movie other than, hey, like one like basically the leader is getting these people to just kill, let's say, like basically go on killing sprees for him essentially, and he gets the Hulk because he wants to start a World War III conflict. with different countries and everything, to get back at Ross. I like that idea. I thought that was really great that the evil, that the leader is the mastermind of this whole movie. Now, I liked the design of the leader. I know the only thing I had an issue with was I did not like the Deadeye, and I just hate when any character has a Deadeye in a movie. I understand Tim Blake Nelson, he has that Deadeye in real life, but I really just like the Deadeye. I hate that. I really hate that in comic book movies, whatever. It didn't work for Johnny Depp in Fantastic Beasts movies. The only thing I could think of, that it actually worked was in the Casino Royale with Matt Nicholson's character, the chief. Other than that, I mean, every character I see with a Deadeye, I'm just like, this does not work out. Like, Freddy Krueger didn't work out for the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. It just does not work out if you have a Deadeye in a movie. I think, honestly, from what I heard, his look was different. Like, he actually was going to be green with, like, the big brain on his thing, but I think he looked really menacing. And I know Tim Blake Nelson did say that they did it practically and everything, and he wanted it to be practical. And I think because maybe just the test audiences hated this design, they probably just redid the design to make it look more creepy. And look, I will say, this looks a lot creepier than the one they had originally, like the pictures and stuff. They had all the merch and everything. They even did the Funko Pop, the original design, which is, it's not the actor's fault. It's just like, test audiences and stuff. I do like the fact that, you have Ross has his daughter, Betty's trying to reconnect with Betty. They've not been close since The Incredible Hulk, where they, basically went their separate ways. And I do like that Betty does come back in the end to see him in prison. And I do feel like, because, like, I don't really there's some things I don't like in the movie. Like, for instance, he's in prison at the end because he had a Red Hulk episode. And I'm just thinking, I'm sure, like, because he was poisoned by the leader, I'm sure he can get exonerated for that. But I'm like, I thought that was kind of stupid. It's like, well, no, I deserve for my crimes. I'm like, you really didn't commit no crime. I mean, you had, like, a Hulk episode. I mean, there's people, like, that have done worse that, I'm just saying that makes no sense to me whatsoever. I'm just like, that's kind of dumb. It just feels like it's so Hollywood. Especially there's one scene where when he becomes Red Hulk and a whole Secret Service starts shooting at him, I'm like, they would never do that. I'm like, that's such bullshit. I did like, though, when he does become the Red Hulk, how it's building up, especially when they're on the carriers. And, like, you see Captain America and them are fighting on the carriers and everything. And they're trying to fight off, that was a pretty cool sequence. I love that. And I like the whole fight scene at the end with the Red Hulk and Captain America. And, they're fighting each other and everything. And I know originally in that scene, the whole Red Hulk was supposed to die. But because I guess they were planning on doing more stuff for, because originally they already shot a funeral scene and everything where, Betty Ross, Liv Taylor, was supposed to come back, his daughter at his funeral, but then obviously they reshot the ending because I guess they want to do more with Harrison Ford in the future because I guess he tested well in the focus groups and I guess they hated the ending when he died. I do like also the fact that, that they're, like Harrison Ford is like in the whole movie. Like it's not just like he's done a few scenes. Like he has more screen time in this movie than he does in Force Awakens or, I'm just saying he's actually enjoyable in this movie. I mean, honestly, I liked him better in this movie than I did Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny. I'm saying that right now because I actually thought he actually really wanted to be here more in this movie. I mean, he plays this character. He actually doesn't just play it like, there's no shots at those characters. I just feel like in this movie, I felt more like he actually has more emotes this time than he does in the other ones. The other ones, he's like, yeah, look at me, I'm Harrison Ford. I'm Indiana Jones, I'm Han Solo. In this one, he's more like, I actually feel like, man, he's actually tries harder in this movie than he does in the last 3 or 4 films he's done. I mean, I was just like telling a friend of mine that, and they're like, yeah, you're not lying. It's like, I liked him in this movie as Red Hulk and everything, and I also really liked him that, that this movie does have, like, it is a political thriller. I mean, obviously, and I do like how, like, the whole movie is they're trying to find out who's behind these, and like, it's a trigger word, and I thought that was really cool. That's a sleeper cell type film. I thought that was really cool. There is some things I disliked about it, besides, I know this movie went through a lot of reshoots, and there was scenes in the movie that they cut completely out of the movie. I don't think this movie's a bad reshoot. I mean, it's not like a Justice League situation. I know some people might compare it to that. I actually really enjoyed this movie, and I think it's a fun movie to watch. And it's not like going to be like, it's not overly political. It's not really preachy. It's just a movie that's just a fun, dumb movie you could watch, take the whole family to. If I had to give this movie a grade, I'm going to give it a solid B+. Thank you so much.
You want me? Come and get me!